that were going to go to Iran with ammunition to just help Iran. So I wanted to know if there is anybody who knows about it.
In terms
I
of, sorry, I don't believe that that was, I don't think that that was true about China arming. I believe that
No,
was
it's true.
unconfirmed.
It's actually confirmed. There's a second flight on its way right now. It actually turned off its transponders, so it's actually true. Like I can like DD Geopolitics confirmed it,
Thank you. Her post
but
is
you
in
can
five.
double check. Yeah. So like there's been two flights out of China, and the first one has already turned off its transponders. So
Chinese also confirmed it themselves as well. If I
yeah,
remember
it's
correctly, it was
true.
the Chinese spokesman came out and he
So
confirmed it.
and it's unknown, and they're both cargo planes. So that means they're carrying like unidentified items, which are most likely weapons.
Okay. So thank you
They've
for
sent out two flights.
clarifying that. But you asked about Russia too, Omar, right?
I haven't heard anything about Russia, so sorry.
Well, as far as sending weapons, see, the thing is with Russia and Iran, they have a defensive strategic agreement, but it's only for defense. If I remember correctly, I can get it up and I'll read the whole article for you. But as far as I remember, it's only for defensive purposes.
I,
And actually, Russia is in a tough position because they have also agreements with Israel. So like they're under a lot of pressure.
That agreement's actually been debunked, not debunked, but destroyed because Israel has actually been arming Ukraine with offensive weapons. So originally, the deal was that they would not arm each other's enemies with offensive weapons. They were allowed to give each other's enemies defensive weapons and whatnot. But Israel has since changed that policy, and they've basically there's a deal that's either been done or it's been in the works or they're working on where they found all these weapons that they got from Hezbollah and Hamas. They were Russian and Iranian made weapons, and they've been transferring them to Ukraine.
awesome. Thank you for the clarification. Chai, was that why your hand was up, or did you have something else? Because I was gonna come.
Yeah, kind of. I just wanted to say, like, like I heard Gary earlier saying that, oh, this is a unilateral attack, but it's like, it's clearly not a unilateral attack. And by unilateral, I mean, like, it's not 100% just Israel acting, because that's kind of what the Israelis want to portray it as, because it kind of gives cover for the US, but it's pretty evident that NATO is helping. The French have been shooting down some of the missiles. The Germans have been helping out. The British have been helping. And obviously, the American bases have been shooting down the missiles coming from Iran. And on top of that, the U.S. has redirected weapons that were supposed to be going to Ukraine to freaking Israel. So and they're making Israel their priority. They're even meeting in the Pentagon, like I believe they called an emergency meeting today to try and discuss how they're going to help Israel more. So it's like to act like Israel's acting independently is extremely, I feel like retarded and kind of like trying to gaslight us. And at the end of the day, if 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 you acknowledge that, and even the Iranian spokesperson that you spoke of said like they don't even believe that Israel's acting unilaterally. So it's like stop playing games, stop acting like the US is not involved. The US is involved. I understand the US doesn't want to be involved on the ground or like in a more intensive way, but like Israel's not acting independently here. And
And
then
I think they
and
said.
secondly, no, I was just gonna say, on the other hand, this gives full right for Iran to get help wherever it can. If the Pakistanis want to help, good. If the Iranians want to, sorry, if the Chinese want to help, great. If the Russians want to help, like 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 at this point, all gloves are off. And if the Israelis decide to throw a nuke, which they won't, because that will open a can of worms where Russia will throw nukes into Ukraine.
Well, you
Nobody
know what?
wants that.
I'm gonna throw this out as just an idea of noodling. What if it was Iran to come to the table only with US, but part of that would be that Netanyahu and the entire government, the structure that the Likud and they need to be dismantled. Like if there was some sort of assurance that the rogue, crazy, psychotic government would have to be completely changed, and there needs to be some sort of leveling of power in a sense. Like, I don't know what you guys think about that, but I
I
don't
don't
Well,
think
they
that
think
did
any
real
Iran is
quickly.
nuclear.
Can I just add a quick
Well,
comment in
the
real
reason
quickly? So,
I just what? Sorry,
no, I
did you have
want to
something?
add a quick comment in. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can. I was just saying, like, in terms of the, they're, coming to the table to negotiate nuclear program for Iran should not be without some sort of complete dismantling and restructuring of Israel's, they can't just continue as is and there be any trust on anything. Like there's no safety for people in the Middle East, those other countries. That's kind of been, you know the status. So I'm just throwing that out as a possible, so to get you guys' thoughts on it. But thanks, Chai. I agree with you on what you were saying about the unilateral part. Go ahead, Dr. Roshnak.
I can't even remember what
Oh,
I had
well,
done
I got
before
some
anymore.
breaking news, y'all. So this is from the Israeli military. They say that at least 385 settlers were injured in last night's attack on the occupied territories. Very interesting. Okay.
That's because they use them as human shields.
I reckon that number is going to keep rising, and it's going to
Okay,
rise
that was
fast.
just so wrong. Wait,
I'm sorry.
seriously. That
No, it's true. They built bases and keep a
Oh,
lot
you
of
mean the
military stuff.
Israelis did? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's what
Yes,
I'm
that's
saying.
true.
They
Yes.
literally put a lot of military stuff in between homes.
Yes, that's
So
true.
when you
Absolutely.
aim for it and then the Iron Dome shoots down your missiles, it's gonna
Right.
land on
You
someone's
can't help but
house.
hurt. Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. Sorry,
Okay.
was that Nathan who wanted to say something? I'm sorry, Nathan.
Yeah, go ahead, Nathan. We're like shoving it over to Nathan so that we could hurry up and mute.
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
not
Sorry.
trying
Yeah.
to.
Love
Yeah,
you,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know. You
Nathan.
guys not hear me speaking before. I think I must
Love
be
you,
glitching out.
Nathan. Love you, Nathan.
Okay.
Can you guys
So
hear me? No. Yes.
no. I was trying not to laugh at what Chai was saying, but it was so funny, and so I was trying to hurry up and give you
No,
the
no, no.
mic so I
I
could
wasn't even trying to be funny. Like if you
mute.
go to Tel Aviv, like the Mossad headquarters
Really?
is right in between like a bunch of malls and everything. Like they make sure that the entire area is surrounded by civilians. So if you're like another military and you want to hit that site, like you're gonna like there's a high risk you're gonna hit civilians. So what is
Well,
that called? That's called human shields.
that's true. That's true.
And it's
Um,
what does everyone say? Every accusation is a confession. They kept saying Hamas was using human shields, but guess what they're doing? Like it's
yeah.
shown.
Okay, so 11 minutes ago, Iranian missile fire on Israel killed at least 10 people overnight. Authorities say as the foes exchanged new waves of attacks in their most recent intense confrontation in history. So that's crazy. All right. I don't know what happened to Nathan, but I'll just keep this spot open.
Did you hear also this like constant Donald Trump is denying anything? US President Donald Trump in social media posts claimed that the US, quote, had nothing to do, end quote, with the Israeli regime's Saturday night attacks against Iran 2 days after he called the attacks, quote unquote, excellent and suggested there was, quote, more to come. You gotta love this guy. Talking out of both sides of his face.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
I don't know. I don't recall him calling it excellent, but if it says that he did, he probably did. I don't keep up with everything.
I
I
do
will
remember
say,
him absolutely saying there was more to come.
I
Yeah.
do also,
Me too.
well, what I would say is that he threatened them, saying that, and which I would, I don't know. I just feel like that there's an element of, with what happened with the oil refineries and how they tried to sabotage any type of peace talks again, Israel, with or with, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like they would have done that anyway. They don't want that peace. But with that being said, let's get to some of the other hands really quickly. I believe SYL, we have not heard from you yet. And good morning, Jafar. We'll come to you and then we'll go back to Nora.
Thank you, Mace. You know, I was just watching the news, and to be honest, very sad because you see war all over the Middle East, and we don't have to forget also the Palestinians in Gaza. They are still suffering. But anyway, and I was actually watching old
Oh wait,
interview.
breaking news, guys, breaking news. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna give it right back to you. But Iranian foreign minister says that they will halt attacks on Israel if Israel ceases its strikes. Um, and you have CNN reporting that okay, so CNN is reporting that the US envoy Witkoff held direct talks on Sunday evening with the Iranian foreign minister. Thank you, Vix. You are clutch. Okay, go ahead. Back over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mace. You know, Mace, I was actually watching an interview that Netanyahu was giving. I think it was maybe 10 years ago. He basically said after Iran, we will come for Pakistan. It's all over the news now. People is already sharing on X. So they have a plan. Yeah, I don't know if most of you guys know, but there was a 7 nation that was supposed to be destroyed, and unfortunately, my country was one of them. And this plan was made in late 80s. They were at that time they were hiding, of course, behind the Cold War, basically saying all Soviet-supported countries, and especially the Islamic ones, have to be destroyed. This and that, and they have been successful somehow. And because they used the American power, you know, and the Europeans, but now that the whole world waking up, they have their last ones, and that is Iran. Iran was always the last one in their plan, and somehow they added Pakistan because Netanyahu said, after Iran, we will come for Pakistan. So this is legit a war against the Muslim world. We have to say like how basically how it is. You know, we can't just you know, lie and say, you know, this is only war against, you know, Iran and Israel. It's not that. You know, Israel have been successful. They have eliminated 6 Islamic countries. You know, they all, you know what's going on in Yemen.
Yeah, it's called the
And
Greater Israel, and this was the plan by
yeah,
the clean break memo. But it even goes back further than that. But I agree with you that
yeah,
they were trying to destabilize that region, and it was not. I mean, I think that the religion aspect of it was a convenient way to do it. But I do think that it's you know, there's a lot of things involved. I mean, I'm sure that's kind of an element, but they had to make the Muslims be the bad guy in order to achieve this, right? Because that's the only thing that they all really have in common.
it is crazy because the Zionists, they actually don't believe it should be a world peace, because they believe peace will only come when their Messiah comes. That's what they believe. They believe, you know, and they can like just do whatever
But
they want
we got to
before.
stick to
Yeah,
the topic, though, just FYI. But I agree with you for the most part.
yeah. Anyway, and so basically, to be honest, it's very sad, but I hope that actually, I'm very happy that the Pakistani government said they will support Iran, and I believe Russia will support it too, because and if Iran falls, that means the Russian, they have Americans in their doorstep. You know, they're already in Ukraine supporting the Ukrainian regime, and they are, yeah. So
Just
and
really quickly, I'm gonna
mm,
give it right back to you. So China, so this is okay. China's foreign minister Wang Yi expressed what should be the position of all countries if they actually respected international law and the principles they've supposedly meant to defend. So, quote, China explicitly condemns Israel for violating Iran's sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity. China firmly opposes the brutal attacks targeting Iranian officials that have caused civilian casualties and supports Iran and safeguarding its national sovereignty, defending its legitimate rights and interests, and protecting the safety of its people. Woohoo! Go. That was good. All right, back over to you.
Okay, last second. They did not only violate Iran's
Nathan, do you have a
airspace.
1 second? 1 second. Nathan, did you have something?
Yeah, I have a
Go ahead.
statement from the Iranian foreign minister. He says, "We are defending ourselves. Our defense is entirely legitimate. This defense is our response to aggression. If the aggression stops, naturally, our responses will also stop." Also, I have another one that says, Israel Hayman, he's citing Netanyahu's spokesperson, says reports that Israeli ministers have been instructed to not give television interviews on the subject of Iran.
Thank you, Nathan. Go ahead, Dr. Roshnak, and then we'll come right back to you in just a second so you could wrap up SYL. Go ahead.
So there's something that was written up by, trying to see, the spokesperson of Iran's foreign ministry, whose name is Ismail Bakai, saying that, sort of going through everything and saying that what Israel has done is a serious and unambiguous violation of international law, in particular international humanitarian law and international human rights law and the Charter of the United Nations. In one particularly atrocious instance, an Israeli strike on a residential building resulted in the killing of 60 civilians, including 35 children and women. In a new wave of military operations, Israel started to target infrastructure and industrial sites as well. The main
Dr. Rowe, can you guys hear her?
No.
She may have gotten a phone call.
I think we lost her.
No, I'm right
Who is
here.
calling you at 6 o'clock in the morning?
No, nobody's calling me. I got no friends. No,
So sorry, I forget about the time zone. Sorry, my bad.
can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the last thing you heard?
You were saying that that they would stop if the aggression stops.
No, that's not what I said. That was somebody else. But okay. So did you hear about the attack on the residential building, killing 60 civilians and 35 children and women, including 35 children and women?
Oh, well, I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
So,
we had it.
okay.
I don't know if May's in it, but yeah, we had that part.
Okay.
Start from there.
So, and then he goes on to talk about the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency, which has time and time again verified that Iran is not creating nuclear weapons. Iran's nuclear installations are exclusively for peaceful purposes and remain subject to the most comprehensive and intrusive inspection regime administered under international auspices. The Israeli regime's targeting of these safeguarded civilian nuclear facilities constitutes a deliberate act of.
I mean, it does sound like you're getting a phone call, but it could be anything. It could be internet connection.
No, you know what it is? Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
It's when I think it's because I'm on the other site reading it, and then eventually it goes out. Anyway, that's basically it. Just really sort of explains, some of the casualties they've had and reiterating the specifics, to counter the gaslighting, the level of inspection and intrusiveness that Iran has been suffering under the IAEA is the highest of any nation, and that it was specifically illegal under multiple laws for Israel to hit these civilian nuclear sites for obvious reasons. Anyway, I'll try to find a
Actually,
different
on
way.
that point, Dr. Roshanak, did you hear about how like the UN actually participated in this? So the UN inspection program actually fed intel to the Israelis about the sites.
Hold on 1 second. Where did Jafar go? He just sent me something that's also breaking news. I was going to let him read it. Jafar is not on the stage. Okay. Let me just read this really quick, Chai. But this is a swarm of drones has been detected heading toward the occupied territories. There was also 12 deaths in addition to those injuries that I had just said a minute ago. And so, yeah. Okay, back over to you, Chai. Sorry.
No, I was just asking the doctor if she knows about this. because there's a few people like I was even heard Scott Ritter earlier reiterating that the UN inspectors, like the Iranians, were willing to let the UN come in and inspect their nuclear sites, and then, like in an act of extreme violation, they shared this information and the sites with the Israelis, and so then the Israelis used the UN as like spies, which is disgusting and immoral. So that's how they know where to strike.
Yeah, but they've also had Mossad agents in there, so they, you know.
Yeah, I know that part, but I'm just saying the UN is complicit,
Well, so is
which
the
is even worse.
International Atomic Agency. So,
Yeah, 100%.
you know, these places are pretending to be neutral, but they're not. And then, you know, let's go back to Yugoslavia and how NATO just bombed the heck out of them.
You guys can't just blanket label everybody who works there as just being an agent working for someone else. It doesn't work like that. I get what you guys are saying, but you have to understand that there's individuals. You can't say the agency itself is working for.
Okay, but hold on, Nathan. How are we supposed to describe it? The
No, I understand.
UN
No,
is
because what I'm
under
saying is that you
oath.
guys don't provide
No, no, no,
details,
no, no,
right?
no,
Just
no,
let
no,
me just
no.
let me
When
Okay,
finish
you
the
come
point.
guys,
in,
you
No,
guys
hold
don't
on.
Nathan,
talk over
I
each other. Hold
actually
on, hold
did
on.
provide details. I put up documents, and actually Simon reposted that.
Also, when you come in as a UN inspector, you're supposed to be there to check, like, hey, are they meeting requirements or not? Not to be like, okay, I'm gonna record this information and share it with enemies of this state. Like that is not your role, and if you do that, then you're breaching like ethical like rights. And after this, I don't think the Iranians should ever allow the UN to come in. Like like honestly, they really shouldn't even let anyone ever in there again. Like this is disgusting. I can't believe
Right.
they did that shit.
So, guys, this is very interesting. There's like more and more people that are talking about, oh, yeah, I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But I mean, there was like, they show like this whole like camera scene set up, and they're just trying to play this off as if it's something fake. But there's no way that they could be faking that because it's, I don't know. it's nowadays
What
it's
are you
hard to
talking about?
understand.
What's being faked?
Well, so there's just more and more people. At first it was a few fringe people that are like, oh my God. So basically claiming that those attacks in Iran are real, but then they're trying to make it seem like what Iran's doing is not, which is
Oh
weird. And
yeah,
it
I
first
saw
annoyed
something too
me.
where somebody said, "Is this a green screen?" And I think it's because at this point, Israel's gotten so pummeled and so embarrassed
Yeah, I
that
agree.
they're now looking
It's
for
a
the
cope.
next. Hold on. They're looking for the next way to gaslight. So if you guys see anything anywhere where people are saying this is a green screen, I already answered it. No, this is a real war. Real people are dying. Real people are hurt. And it's a disgrace to all the people in Israel who have been injured or killed to pretend that this is a green screen and nobody has gotten hurt.
But I mean, all you need to do is look at Israel's reaction, right? The fact that they're gagging their ministers from
Yeah, but
talking about
Israelis don't
things to
want
do with it.
Israelis to be injured and hurt and all this stuff. And so, you know, putting it in their faces that they're actually dishonoring their own people if they have any honor at all, then they would not be dishonoring them by saying this is a green screen.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, but we know that Israelis are weak.
I'm not going to speak
And
for that. I'm not going to blanket statement. I'm just
But
saying that honorable
Wait, can
people.
you
hold
let
on,
her
let her
say
Can
finish.
you
something?
allow her to get
Just
at
let
least
her
the full
finish.
it's
That's all.
okay. I'll mute up. It's
No, go
fine.
ahead, HK. No, go
Can't get a
ahead.
word in. No, no, it's all good.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
I mean, I wasn't trying to blanket statement or stereotype, but Israel, their occupation, their existence depends on people doing aliyah, leaving their countries to go to Israel, to have Palestinians, kicked out of their homes so that these settlers can come in and live there. But they're not going to be able to sell this like you're safe in Israel. We have this powerful Iron Dome. If that like picture perfect story is exposed, because in fact the Iron Dome suddenly is like this Timu dome that actually has failed. And, we can see that Iran is using missiles that are actually old missiles. They're not even like highly sophisticated. They've come out and said, actually, these are really old missiles that we're using.
They're
So
like 30
imagine,
years old.
Correct. So imagine when they start using their new stockpiles, there's not going to be much of Tel Aviv or Haifa or anything left. So of course, they can't be showing. They've banned anyone from posting images or videos. They're trying to downplay it. They're claiming only 11 people have been killed. God forbid. I'm not condoning. I'm not sitting here cheering on the death of any civilians, but they are also downplaying. The amount of images I've seen with body bags is way more than 11. I think I heard someone say before that now that number has risen, but they have to do this because they can't lose the psychological warfare of their people. They need them to feel strong while they're in their bunkers.
Don't they
Actually,
even have
that's
a
an
law?
excellent
Like if
point,
you post
HK.
something, you can serve up to a week in prison if you're caught posting something online.
Yeah, a few of them got arrested. Okay, so a couple of things really quickly. Cyprus says that its president is expected to talk with Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu, adding that it had been asked by Iran to convey, quote, some messages to Israel. That's interesting. And then Israel
Very fair.
announces on X that its military did strike the nuclear facility in Iran's Esfahan. And then Iran's health minister says that the majority of those injured and killed in Israel's strikes over the past days are civilians, mainly women. Okay, wait. So those that were killed in the strikes by Israel over the past few days were civilians, mainly women and children, according to the IRNA news agency. That was approximately 8 minutes ago.
Hmm.
Okay, go ahead.
And I
And
just
then
add
we're
one
gonna.
thing as well.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I just got some to add in real quick. So I-24 channel in Israel is citing a cabinet official. It says, "We're just at the beginning of the event. Iran will escalate its attacks, and we may witness things that go beyond what we saw yesterday. We will intensify our strikes there, and we still have other surprises to come." So it's literally like a game for these guys.
Yeah, and the
Look,
funny thing
Doesn't
is
really-
that Ishmael Bakri, that minister that I was talking about, said, you know, we will hold back, but Israel has to stop. And so it's interesting that Israel's like, we're going to keep going, when Iran's like, look, we're pummeling you, but we'll stop if you stop. And they're not into that.
so did you guys know that Iran hit a scientific research center?
The Weizmann
With,
Institute.
yeah, I thought that was interesting. All right, guys. Let's go. We have not heard from Abu.
Hold on, can I say something about that scientific research center?
Very quickly. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I think there's something under it. Because like when I was researching it, like it doesn't seem like they would actually just hit it if it's like genuinely like a research center for students. Like there's more underneath.
That is possible, but you got to remember they hit one of Iran's research centers as well. So you got to remember they've always said like for like. So
No,
you hit
no,
a
but I saw
you hit
the
a college.
hit. The hit wasn't big enough. Like I actually think they're gonna hit it again. There's something more that they're after.
I think they just,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they've said from the beginning, whatever you hit, we hit. You hit a school, we hit a school. This is very simple. You hit an oil field, we hit an oil field. You hit a
I
nuclear
know, but Nathan, they
research
only did one
facility.
hit. It's like a corner or something. Like I think they're gonna hit it harder if they're really after that site.
Look at you researching and stuff. Good job, Chai. Okay, so let's tap in with Abu. Welcome, Abu. Jump in, and then we'll go to Ata your Rahman Malik. Go ahead, Abu.
Thanks, Mace. Just wanted to say thanks so much for keeping down the fort while the rest have been getting their catnaps in. Great work. I was listening in. I'm pretty familiar with tradecraft and this discussion about the IAEA and how it's being used and the fact that it disseminates some information to Israel. It's extremely standard for non-governmental organizations to have a portion of their operations have to do specifically with intelligence gathering. That's why it was such a big deal and such an outcry when Trump shut down USAID. No matter what you think of it, one of the main things was that funding towards specifically espionage, like human operations, which are highly valued, the funding for those also went out the window at the same time. So, like, is it some specific actors or what? No, it's an institutional thing. You're supposed to be able to help. That helps you with your foreign diplomacy or whatever else you do, but it's also there for you to be able to suck in tons of intelligence that's then used. And it's also done in order to build out networks of intelligence assets on the ground so that you have networks in place when you want to go and do something. That's how, like, when you read about Mossad agents, quotation marks, operating in Iran, it's not Israelis that have snuck in under secret identities. It's like dissident Iranians, different minority groups or whatever who feel as though maybe they should have their own country or whatever else, or they've been oppressed, or they could just get a better life under a new regime, and those can get activated over time. And what you need for that is organizations like the IAEA and whatever other Western organizations are allowed to operate within that territory.
Um, well, thank you for that. Unfortunately, I was responding to these messages and I missed the last part of what you said, but I don't want you to have to repeat that. Um, but if anybody else wants to respond to him, then please do. I
For a quick
apologize.
update, I just have a quick update to add. So Netanyahu has arrived on scene in Bat Yam. I think they spelled this wrong, but the site where we had the most recent damage last night, where they took out, I think, nearly a whole block.
Where's the video? He's
No, it's a
in
picture.
Greece.
I've just
No, it's a
No,
posted
he's
it.
picture.
not. I think he wants
I've
people to think
literally,
he's in Greece.
yeah, I've literally just posted it on my page. It's a picture of him being escorted around.
He looks angry. He looks fucking pissed.
Throw it up in the nest for like 1 minute to make it
HK
easier
actually
for us.
posted
Wait,
that.
let us enjoy it.
Okay. So somebody just tagged me in something and I wanted to read it. First, she wanted to commend all of the panelists. So thank you to Aisha for that. And she said that she was hearing that Jordan continues to shoot down Iran's missiles, saying that they don't need their airspace violated. Her question is, does Jordan also shoot them down the Israelis' aircraft? That's a great question that go to Iran. Anybody know?
No, they only shoot down the ones heading to Israel
Mm-hmm. Good question, Aisha. Okay, I'm gonna go
because
look.
they're cocked.
Okay, go ahead, Atta, jump in. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, can you hear me well?
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Okay, just wanted to quickly talk about a couple. First one is I think there was some discussion around Pakistan and Pakistani supporting Iran. I think yeah, most of the nations definitely doing that, but I would really be cautious about the establishment itself because they have been deceiving for quite a while, for decades. And I think Pentagon and CIA, if you read the history of the relationship between Pakistan establishment and the US, you will be able to figure that out. The latest case study being the drone attacks within their own country. The second point is it's interesting, Nathan, just that you mentioned around this escalation from Netanyahu. I was really exactly thinking about that, and that's why I came on mic because I wanted to discuss a little scenario which I think there's a very high possibility of that happening because if I put myself, I mean, it's probably one of the worst places on the earth, but if I put myself hypothetically in Netanyahu's shoes, what are my options? He cannot back down. He has to escalate it and he has to win. Otherwise, if he goes out of power, he's gone, he's doomed, right? All the cases and everything's gonna, the legalities of stuff which is going on against him for a while. So it's for him, it's a do or die. Now, what is the next step he might take? Now, if Iran doesn't back out, um, I really doubt that he's not going to, or Mossad is not going to attack one of the US ships or the UK or any other ally ships and blame it on Iran, which is a false flag attack. So he will probably definitely go for a false flag. And then he will drag US into this war, and that's how Trump who's probably trying to avoid it, to be honest, so far, uh, he will be dragged into it. So I just wanted to leave this question for the panel. How do you see that scenario unfolding? And I don't. to me, it's not very far away. It's just days or weeks. So it'll be interesting to see other people's thought around that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Atta. Go ahead, Nora, jump in. And guys, I did comment in Nathan's post. I mean, I don't
Um,
know. I just think that that's an interesting. I mean, do you not see that, Nathan?
No, I actually took it out the nest because HKs is up there, so I just left one up there. But I'll have a look now.
And guys, just so you know, this is kind of housekeeping. We don't like Solomon is very kind of strict around his nest, so we put stuff up there very briefly, take it down just because his you know, that's only for breaking news and usually his post. But anyway, but yeah, so Nathan, I put a picture, I zoomed in on Netanyahu's face and I pasted it back
He
into
looks
your
scared.
comments
Someone said he looked
because
angry
there
before.
is
He looks
something
scared.
wrong with his head. Okay, y'all don't see that? It like there it is. I'll
Wait,
just
where's the zoomed in photo, Maze? Is that on your
it's in
wall?
the comments.
I need to laugh.
Look, I'm about to put it in the nest for a second. Just for a second. I'm gonna put okay, just look. I'm gonna put the whole post up
Are
there,
you
but
saying
look,
he's a Tesla robot, Maze?
yo, I'm not going to say what I think it is because I would then be taking us down a very fringe but very real road. But that might not be him. I mean, look, zoom in and tell me there's not a line of demarcation. Okay, unless this dude wraps his head at night very tightly with a rubber band, there's no reason. Come on. Why does his head look like that? That's not Botox. I mean, okay, anyway, sorry, not to digress. Anyway, but go ahead,
No, you know what you
Nora.
should do, Maze? I'll tell you what you need. You need to be a good investigator. You go get a picture or a video that you know is definitely him, and you have to take a screenshot, zoom in, and do the same thing. Do a comparison.
But also, everyone please boycott Gant.
I'm gonna grok
Not,
this. I'm
not
gonna
that I would
tell
ever be
Grok to
caught
be
wearing that
honest with
label,
me
but
too. I'm gonna be like, what is that, Grok? Okay, go ahead, Nora. So sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's all right. I just want to say thank you all. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you, Maze, Lee, Khaleesi, and Dr. R. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce your name correctly, so I'm going to say Dr. R. As you agreed with Sully yesterday, or was it the day before? And all of us to just remember that Iran is what Iran is doing is justice, nothing else. It's not revenge, it's justice. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nora. God bless. Sleep well. Thanks for coming and supporting. Okay. I don't know who is. Was it Abu? I think Abu, and then we'll go to
Yeah.
Eswald. Go ahead. Hon.
Cool. So yesterday, Myron came on here and asked for predictions of what the next moves would be, and those next moves was what we saw tonight, where my prediction came true. Basically, the target bank that Hezbollah published in 2024, around this same time of year, that target bank is what they went after when they targeted the areas in northern Israel, such as Haifa, with the ammonium nitrate facilities, the refineries, and so on and so forth. The natural question now becomes, okay, so what comes next? Because I'm pretty sure that more attacks will follow tonight. And what we would probably see tonight then is preparation of the ground in order to facilitate Hezbollah's entry and to take over territory. At least that's what I would be doing if I was in Iran's shoes, because what I want to do is Israel cannot put feet on the ground in Iran, but if there's enough might within Hezbollah, those boots can go on the ground, provided that we've softened up the ground. And the thing you would do then is you would begin seeing strikes in northern Israel. So somebody here a little bit earlier mentioned that the Israelis do use human shields, which is extremely true. So every now and again, you will get news about some Bedouin family, a poor family, who does end up in the crosshairs. We got that news as well, where some poor Bedouin family apparently got injured. I take that as a clue that Iran, besides Tel Aviv, besides the strategic targets in Haifa, are also softening up the territory in order for Hezbollah to be able to begin operations. thereby stretching out what Israel is able to do. Now, one interesting question is whether Ansar Allah will begin deploying people through Lebanon as well. I'm not entirely certain what the logistics there would look like, but that would be my assumption.
I'm so sorry about that. I was just reading some stuff that people tagged me in. Anybody want to respond to